Hello, my drunken Buddhas. Today we're looking at 5 ways to process our emotions from simple to advanced. Because whenever you're suffering, you can be sure there's an emotion at the root of it somewhere, either a painful emotion or even more frequently, it's just that we're resisting an emotion, and the suffering of resisting the emotion is that sense of tension, feeling trapped, anxious. That's just resisting emotion. So a lot of suffering there. So this is really helpful for just feeling better more of the time. It's about the most powerful thing you can do to feel better and be happier in your life, hands down. So let's jump into it. Number 1, let the emotion be what it is. So most people relate to their emotions by trying to get rid of them. It's like they feel a painful emotion. It's like something is wrong. This shouldn't be here. How can I get rid of it? Is the immediate reaction. But that's just resisting the emotion, and whatever you resist persists. So that just keeps you stuck, feeling really stuck with that emotion and all the tension in your body, resisting it, and your mind going crazy trying to figure out what to do with it. Instead, do your best to let it be what it is. So if it's sadness, let it be sad. You put your attention on it in the body. You notice where you feel it, because you can only process emotions in the body. You can't process them in your head. That's just another avoidance tactic. And you let that part of you just be sad. Or if there's shame in the belly, you put your attention on the belly and you let the shame be ashamed. You let this part of you feel ashamed. If there's anger, again, you can let that part of you vibrate with that energy of anger, just feeling it within you. And the same goes for all the different other emotions and shades of different emotions. So the more fully you're able to let the emotion be itself, the more effectively, the more cleanly you're going to process that emotion. Number 2 is rhythmic breathing. So sometimes emotions can feel a little stuck, and you can use breathing to sort of help you feel it more fully. This is really the sort of the intention here that we're setting, is to feel emotions fully. Like I said, if we're resisting it, it tends to hang around. Actually, the more fully we're able to feel it, it then moves through, because that's what it's designed to do. Rhythmic breathing is kind of when you get into a rhythm with your breath, and then you kind of bring that into the emotion, and you use your breath to sort of let the emotion expand and contract. So maybe you're feeling some sadness in the chest. You might just let that sadness just open up to it, let it expand within you, and just feeling, maybe as a couple of tears come, you're feeling that sadness, and then you kind of relax that effort on the out breath. This helps you feel it more fully. And if it's something like anger, you can tense with anger on the in breath maybe, and then just relax that effort on the out breath. Or sometimes people prefer it the other way around. Maybe you want to relax on the out breath, and you feel some of that anger coursing through you on the out breath. So experiment, but it's like using breath to get that contraction, expansion, a bit of movement in the emotion is what we're really going for, and what is helpful. Number 3 is to let the emotion move and express. So often we can just sit there feeling a feeling, and it doesn't feel very alive. That can be helpful. Sometimes it works. You can just sit there and feel a feeling, and that's great. If it feels a little stuck, often these parts of you want to move. Think about how a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, embodies emotion and expresses emotion. It's a whole thing. It's got movement, it's got expression, it's really authentic, it's really full. You want a flavor of that. You don't want to lose control like a little child does. That's where the adult comes in. You want a bit of the child, just that authenticity and that fullness, that expression, that movement, and a bit of the adult coming in, because you have that sense of containment and control and maturity that holds all of that, right? And when I say let it move, I mean feel into the emotion, the sensation, and try to get a sense of how it wants to move. So if it's fear, maybe it wants to, shake the hands. Maybe it wants to contract. If it's sadness, maybe it wants to, slump down in sadness and just be sad. If it's anger, maybe you feel it wants to push away. It wants to, shove someone away almost. And the number one rule here is to stay present in the body, but you can You can let the body do that. Put your attention on the anger and let it move how it wants to. And maybe some words want to come, like, or sounds like, grrr, grrr, or like, get away, you know. And again, don't think about this too much. Going back to the first point, let those sounds and words be what they are. They don't have to be nice. They don't have to make sense. This part of you just has some stuff that's been pent up and it just needs to say it. And, you know, you can stand up to do this. I won't do this here because I don't have the space. You can stand up and do this. You can lie on the floor, you know, and kick your legs in the air or wave your arms around. You can curl up in a ball in bed. The world is your oyster here. Just intuitively feel into what needs to move and how, and what needs to be expressed with the voice as well, and sounds. And number 4, we have belief investigation. So sometimes if an emotion is feeling a little stuck, it means because there's some aspect, there's a more conceptual aspect we haven't discovered that's tied into this sensation or emotion. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a belief. Maybe it's a perspective, a message of some kind that will need to be received first before this emotion feels like it's done its job and can relax. So you can ask it questions, put your attention on it, and just ask. Almost any kind of intuitive question works. Things like, do you have anything to say? Do you have a message for me? If you had a voice, what would you say? And don't think about it cognitively. Ask the sensation like you're asking a person, and then just wait for a response from the body, from the energy itself. The answers from your own mind will be just made up stuff from your mind. It's not coming from the body, from the emotion itself. And if you can tell it's coming from the body, it'll tend to be quite short and brief. It won't be some long narrative. Well, she said that and he said this. It'll just be like, I'm scared, or like, I want to get out of here, or something like that. Or like, we need rest, or something. You could ask things like, yeah, why are you here? What's your job? Or a good one is, what do you need? Is there anything you need right now, this part of you? Because these emotions are stuck in time from a younger version of ourselves. You know, when you're feeling sadness, 99% of the time it's sadness from when you were a kid. And that kid is stuck inside you, frozen, and it needs something. And maybe it needed a hug, it needed an adult around to speak to, you know. So you can also ask, you know, or get a sense of, you know, what does this part of you believe about the world? What does this part of you believe about yourself? Does it feel that the world is unsafe, it's scary? Does it feel that you're a loser, that you're worthless, that you're unlovable? When you hit upon some belief or message or opinion or perspective or story that really resonates, you'll know it takes you deeper into the emotion. This is why this process works, because you might suddenly get this, oh, I'm worthless. And then suddenly the tears will start coming, and it'll like crack you open almost if you just find the right words. Or you find there's a memory that comes up from childhood, and that just brings the emotion in more fully, or opens it up. So experiment with that. Number 5, this is getting into the more advanced territory. You're noticing, you know, at the beginning, it's just be with the emotion, fine. In number 4, you're asking questions and getting sophisticated responses. Number 5 will be inner child work, which comes in a variety of forms, but a simple way of doing this advanced technique is, you know, going back to what I just said about how these parts of us, these emotions, are essentially child versions of ourselves that have been frozen in time. They've been frozen into our bodies. And the inner child work involves building a relationship with that child that is a part of us and helping it, giving it what it needs. This is kind of linked to number 4, but it's got a more explicit emphasis on the child. So you'd ask yourself, firstly, okay, when did I first feel this feeling? Or when's like an early time in my life when I felt this feeling? Or who or what does this feeling remind me of? And then maybe you get nothing and it goes no further, but you may get some memory of being at school or kindergarten, or, you know, when you were very young in the park with your parents, right? And then you wanna check in, okay, can you feel that young part of you at school at that age? And just feel how old are you roughly? Are you know, it doesn't matter too much, like 5, 7, 3, even before you could speak. and see if you can get a sense to that young part of you. Maybe you see them, bring up 7-year-old you in your mind's eye at that time in your life when you were feeling this way, and just connect to that version of you. And you can say hello to it. Hey, I'm here to support you, I'm here to listen to you. And then you want to build a relationship by asking it questions like, is there anything you'd like to tell me? How are you feeling? I'm really curious. And you start to get responses. I'm scared, or I don't know what to do. And you can build a relationship with that part of you. Amazingly, it sounds incredible, but you really, really can. And the stronger that relationship, the more access you'll have to the emotions from that time. And then once you've brought up some of those emotions, maybe by asking how that part of you feels, you can process some of those emotions. And then you can, at the end, ask the child, okay, what do you need? A good one is to ask, is there any way you'd like to go? Maybe there was a difficult situation. They were really upset. You felt some of that upset, and now that child wants to go somewhere else. You say, where would you like to go? Let's get out of this crappy school. Where do you want to go? And they might say, let's go to the cinema, or let's go to Barbados, or whatever. And you, in your mind, you take them there. It's like, okay, and then you just imagine, okay, now we've done the hard work. Now we're on the beach in Barbados. We can relax. And that child part of you can sort of get some safety as like closure for that emotional episode. So again, to summarize a rough process here is that you get in touch with that child part by saying, okay, well, when does this remind me of? Who does it remind me of? What does it remind me of? Then you connect to it, asking it questions, talking to it, letting it know you're there. Then you might feel some of the emotions of that child part, and then you kind of close it out by giving it what it needs, taking it somewhere else where it feels safer. That kind of thing, giving that younger version of you a hug, letting it know that you'll be back. Cool. There you go. There's a whole bunch of different approaches you can try. I have a free toolkit of 115 nervous system regulation techniques you can download for free. And I work with people one-on-one doing emotional work, somatic, body-based therapy, really getting into the beliefs and the feelings that are at the root of our suffering. So if you want a hand, check out my website. Adios.